after being convicted in the fatal shooting of an innocent Uber driver.
The defendant's indefinite prison term is 21 years to life in prison.
Terrifying video from the Uber driver's dash cam captured the horrible killing 2 years ago. You can see 81-year-old William Brock pointing a gun at the driver. He had just shot her in the leg. The Uber driver, Loletha Hall, was frantically trying to explain that she was there to pick up a package, but Brock shot her a total of 6 times, killing her.
Picture this. You order an Uber to pick up a package. Simple enough, right? Now picture this. An elderly man gets a call saying his family's in danger, and somebody's coming to his house. 2 people, 2 phone calls, 1 address, 6 gunshots. Make it make sense. In every home, behind every closed door, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where we dive deep into the hidden truths of domestic crime and the relationships that turn deadly. If you're drawn to real stories, powerful insights, and the shadows most people avoid, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and step into the whispers they never wanted you to hear. Loletha Hall, friends called her Letha, was 61 years old and living in Cincinnati. She wasn't new to hard work, wasn't new to showing up and doing what needed to be done. Driving for Uber was how she made her living, picking up rides, dropping off packages, keeping her head down and her bills paid. She had a son who loved her deeply, and the feeling was mutual. They weren't just mother and son, they were best friends. The kind of bond where you talk about everything, laugh about nothing, and show up for each other no matter what. March 25th, 2022, started like any other Friday for Letha. Another shift. Another set of pickups. She had no idea that day would be her last. Now, let's talk about William Brock, 81 years old, living in South Charleston, Ohio, about an hour north of Cincinnati. Brock was at that stage in life where you're supposed to be winding down, you know? Watching the grandkids, tending the garden, staying out of trouble. But here's the thing about being elderly in America. You become a target. Scammers know it. They count on it. And on that same Friday in March, William Brock got a phone call that would shatter 2 families. The call came in, and whoever was on the other end knew exactly what they were doing. They told Brock his family was in danger. Real danger. The kind that makes your chest tight and your hands shake. They said people were coming for his loved ones, and if he wanted to protect them, he needed to act fast. They told him a female driver would be arriving at his home soon to pick up money. They made it sound urgent, made it sound real. And here's where it gets twisted. At the exact same time, Loletha Hall got a ping on her Uber app, a package pickup in South Charleston. Nothing unusual about that. She'd done hundreds of these. Pull up, grab the package, drop it off, collect the fare. Easy money. She had no clue she was being set up. No clue that the person who requested that ride was the same person who'd just terrified an old man into thinking his family was about to be harmed. 2 victims, 1 scam, and they were on a collision course. Letha drove the hour from Cincinnati to South Charleston, her dashcam recording like it always did. Just another gig. Just another day. She pulled up to Brock's address, parked, and stepped out of her car, probably checking her phone for the pickup details. But William Brock? He was inside that house, terrified, convinced that whoever showed up was part of the threat. And when he saw a car pull up, when he saw a woman step out, his fear turned into action. He grabbed his gun. Crime Letha walked toward the house, and that's when Brock came out, 81 years old, holding a firearm, convinced he was protecting his family from harm. Letha's dashcam caught everything, every second, every word, and what it shows is absolutely heartbreaking. Brock pointed the gun at her. Letha's hands probably went up immediately. You can hear it in situations like this. the panic, the confusion. She tried to explain, tried to tell him she was just there to pick up a package, that she was an Uber driver, that this was a mistake. But Brock, still locked in that terrified mindset the scammer had put him in, fired. The first shot hit her in the leg. Letha stumbled, and you can only imagine the shock, the pain, the sheer disbelief. She's bleeding, she's terrified, and she's still trying to make this man understand that she's not the enemy. Brock didn't stop. He fired again, and again, and again. 6 times total. 6 bullets tore through Loletha Hall's body while she begged for her life, while she tried to explain that she was just doing her job. By the time the shots stopped, Letha was on the ground, dying, and William Brock, standing over her, still believed he'd just stopped a threat. He called the police himself, told them what happened, told them about the scam, about the call, about the fear. And when officers arrived, they found Loletha Hall's body and an elderly man who had no idea he'd just murdered an innocent woman. The dashcam footage didn't lie. Investigators reviewed it, and what they saw was clear. Letha never threatened Brock, never reached for a weapon, never did anything except try to explain that she was there for a pickup. The audio captured her desperation, her confusion, her pleading. She didn't know about the scam, didn't know Brock had been manipulated. She just knew she was about to die, and she couldn't understand why. Police started piecing together the scam. They traced the Uber request, tracked the phone calls, and realized both Letha and Brock had been played. The scammers, still unidentified, still out there somewhere, had orchestrated the whole thing. They'd weaponized Brock's fear and Letha's livelihood, turning 2 strangers into killer and victim. Detectives worked the case, but the scammers had covered their tracks. Burner phones, fake accounts, no real trail to follow. And while the masterminds behind this nightmare walked free, William Brock was arrested and charged with murder. William Brock was taken into custody, and the weight of what he'd done started to settle in. This wasn't some action hero stopping a criminal. This was an elderly man who'd been so thoroughly manipulated by a phone scam that he'd killed an innocent woman in his own driveway. The evidence was overwhelming. The dashcam footage alone was damning, but the case still had to go to trial. When the trial began in Ohio, prosecutors knew they had a difficult situation. On one hand, you've got a murder, clear as day, 6 gunshots, a woman dead. On the other hand, you've got an 81-year-old defendant who genuinely believed he was protecting his family. The defense leaned heavy into that fear, into the scam, into Brock's state of mind. But the prosecution had one thing the defense couldn't argue away: that dashcam video. The courtroom went silent when they played it, watching an elderly man point a gun at an unarmed woman, watching her try to explain, watching him fire anyway. It's one thing to hear about a crime. It's another thing entirely to see it unfold in real time. During the trial, Brock took the stand. And this is where you see just how deep that scam had gotten into his head. The prosecution pressed him, asked him point blank if Letha ever threatened him, if she ever said she had a gun, if she ever gave him any reason to believe she was dangerous. Does she say, "Hey, I've got a gun"? She didn't know. She never threatens you that she has one, right? No. I'm asking you what actually happened. And I'll tell you, I was in a state of shock. I hope I remember. A state of shock. That's what he said. And maybe that's true. Maybe the scammers had him so twisted up that he couldn't think straight. But here's the reality. Loletha Hall never threatened him, never reached for a weapon, never did anything except show up to do her job. And for that, she died. The jury didn't take long. They found William Brock guilty. And when it came time for sentencing, the judge handed down a harsh reality. 21 years to life. For an 81-year-old man, that's a death sentence. He'll die behind bars. No question about it. And while some might feel sympathy for him, for the fear he felt, for the manipulation he endured, the fact remains that Loletha Hall is dead because of his actions. But before Brock was taken away, the court heard from the person who lost the most in all of this, Loletha's son. She was my mother first and foremost, but she was also my best friend. She didn't get to grow old, like William Brock. Instead, she was murdered. Let me tell you something. That right there cuts deep, because it's true. William Brock got to live 81 years. He got to see his children grow up, maybe his grandchildren too. He got to experience decades of life that Loletha Hall will never have. She was 61. She had years left. Years she should have spent with her son, with her family, living her life. Instead, she's gone. Murdered in a driveway over a phone scam. Her son didn't just lose his mother. He lost his best friend. The person he talked to about everything. The person who showed up for him no matter what. And now she's gone, and no prison sentence, no guilty verdict, no amount of justice is going to bring her back. The prosecutor stood up after the sentencing and said something that stuck with everyone in that courtroom. And that's the truth, isn't it? William Brock's family just watched their elderly father get sentenced to die in prison. Loletha Hall's family just buried a woman who should still be here. 2 families destroyed. 2 lives ended. One literally, one practically. And the people who caused all of this, the scammers who made those phone calls, who set this whole nightmare in motion, they're still out there, still running scams, still destroying lives.
It's a heartbreaking Uber shooting. An 81-year-old man shoots and kills a female Uber driver after they had both fallen victim to a phone scam. The elderly suspect in court for sentencing. Stephen Fabian has the latest.
An elderly man learns he'll be spending the rest of his life in prison after being convicted in the fatal shooting of an innocent Uber driver.
The defendant's indefinite prison term is 21 years to life in prison.
Terrifying video from the Uber driver's dash cam captured the horrible killing 2 years ago. You can see 81-year-old William Brock pointing a gun at the driver. He had just shot her in the leg. The Uber driver, Loletha Hall, was frantically trying to explain that she was there to pick up a package, but Brock shot her a total of 6 times, killing her. Brock told police that a scammer had called him threatening his family and told him that a female driver would be coming by to pick up the money. At the same time, the Uber driver was ordered by the scammer to Brock's house to pick up a package. Police say the Uber driver was completely unaware of the scheme. At his trial in Ohio, the defendant watched dash cam footage that showed him holding the Uber driver at gunpoint, then opening fire.
Does she say, hey, I've got a gun?
She didn't know.
She never threatens you that she has it, right?
No.
I'm asking you what actually happened.
And I'm telling you, I was in a state of shock. I don't remember.
Loletha Hall's son spoke at the elderly man's sentencing.
She was my mother first and foremost. But she was also my best friend. She didn't get to grow old like William Brock. Instead, she was murdered.
The prosecutor said there are no winners because both families have lost loved ones.
William Brock will die in prison. Loletha Hall is already gone. Her son will spend the rest of his life without his mother and his best friend. And those scammers are still out there, still making calls, still ruining lives. Make it make sense. You can't, because it doesn't. And that's the most tragic part of all. This has been Darkened Files. If this story affected you, take a moment to share it. Not for the shock value, not for the views, but because someone out there needs to hear it. Someone's elderly parent might get that call tomorrow. Someone's friend might take that Uber job. And maybe, just maybe, this story will save a life. Rest in peace, Loletha Hall. You deserved so much better.